So we're going to take a look at a Chinese Becker BK-2 knockoff I got on TEMU for $20. And just pulling it out of the box, I'm highly impressed. It's funny that they have all the K-bar inserts as far as like the paperwork for it in the box, but none of the markings on the blade itself. Either way, American companies are going to have to learn to compete or push more apple pie baseball and bald eagles to people that aren't broke like me, to get you to buy an $89 product that's probably comparable. I'm pretty impressed with this knife, just looking at it out of the box. We're going to beat on it, and let's just take a look at it real quick. So here we are. This is the TEMU K-bar knockoff here. This was $20. The BK-2 in the United States is like $80, in and around that price. So that's a big honking slab of steel, definitely. And I've always viewed the BK-2 as sort of a pry tool. I got gigantic hands and that thing fits perfect. I bet the K-bar like knockoff scales, like the woodwinds and stuff, would fit right on this. You can tell right away, you know, the powder coat. This is just sort of a paint coating on it, rather than what K-bar uses for a powder coat. Got your big lanyard in the back. And again, I'm impressed that it's as thick as I was hoping it was. This thing is freaking sweet. But I wanted to get a view of this brand new, because I don't know that I'm not going to be able to take this thing out and wail on it like here in the next 5 minutes. So there'll be a later review come up of this, but I wanted to clean out of the box for you. There's no label, but it's just a BK-2 knockoff from TEMU. So not bad. Funny thing, it's got the K-bar insert, which is hilarious to me. That cracks me up. Anyway, let's see if it says it's made in Wayne, Illinois, or whatever it's supposed to be. Yeah, it's even got the it's got all the promotionals. That's hilarious. And the next clip you see, I'll be out here abusing this thing in a full review, but I wanted to get this thing filmed in its pristine condition, because I'm going to be beating on this thing real soon. So here we go. Let's go beat on it. All right, so we're going to get down to the abuse portion of this review. And since that last clip, it's been about 8 days or 7 days since I pulled it out of the box. And I've just brought it out here and used it for busting up firewood and just doing general caveman bushcraft type stuff. Not this thing is thick enough, you're probably not going to get much fine carving out of it. You know, you can carve a spear point and things like that, but it's definitely a wood processing knife, and let's just say like a breaking and entering, you know, shit hit the fan scavenger type knife, Minuteman stuff. You could definitely do social work with this in a bad situation. Let's just say meat on meat aggression. It would definitely do what you want it to do. But we're going to do a few things and just demonstrate what it can do. And this is out of the box. I haven't re-edged it or anything. And this is after a week's worth of abuse. No Kin Onion work sharp stuff yet. None of that. Kind of got some knots on this thing. So you could carve a pretty sharp point with it. You know, it's, again, I don't think it's a fine task blade, but you can get where you want with most of the broad strokes, and that's really what this thing is. All right, so we're gonna look at this, see about some tip prying with it. I'm not going to go crazy, but no bending, but I mean, it's a freaking gnarly tip, guys. So it will do all the things. That's a sketchy feather stick, but that would still catch. This wood is extremely dry and seasoned. As you can see, it's even like the outer side of it's gray. So it's been cut and dried for a long time, and it just doesn't seem to, at least this particular kind of wood doesn't seem to do a very good job of feather sticking to start with. Yeah, some of that's probably end user. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, it will do all the stuff. It will baton. It will, you know, hell, you could dig with it if you really needed to. I haven't had the opportunity to get like a door and try to pry a residential door off of its frame, or like pry an old house window open or something like that, which is something I would like to do, but that's not going to be in this review for sure. But it'll baton, feather stick, do some rudimentary type cutting to sharpen something up, or you could probably, if you're careful, I mean, a lot of it isn't the tool, it's the skill that you got. Carve some traps, but you'd have to be careful and know what you're doing. But that's same if you're just using a Mora. It's capable, it'll do all those things. So for $20 as opposed to $120 or $80 or whatever you're talking about here in the States, that's not bad. Pretty sweet little deal. I'm gonna get a ferro rod and show you some ferro rod with this thing, just to demonstrate that, yeah, the spine will do what you want it to do on a general production ferro rod. That one caught pretty quick, but I'll do a few extra strikes just to show you can do it. That wasn't a very good example. So it'll definitely do what you're asking it to do, that's for sure. So as far as examples of this being a chopper, I really don't think that this knife is a chopper. I think that like another 2 inches on length on the actual blade would make this a reasonable chopper, but it's short enough. I just don't really think that that's part of this knife's design, really. I mean, it'll do what you want to do, and obviously batoning, like batoning into something like that, I think is its strength, and you can still get as deep of a cut if you had a chopper, just because it's durable enough with that thick of a piece of steel. That's like a 1/4 inch thick. But since it's kind of shorter, but this is a review anyway, we're going to do some chopping. As you can see, I mean, it's biting in for the most part there. That's not bad biting in. But, you know, that little extra bit out front would do a whole lot more if it was, you know, a couple inches longer. So, it's going to do what you want to do, but you're going to have to put a lot more effort into it, or you're going to have to baton, you know, which again, I think that's where this is its strong suit, even being a short blade. I mean, you could theoretically notch out stuff to actually build with this blade if you had to. That's not a bad example of notching out. I mean, it could be better than that, but like, it's gonna hold up. This blade is gonna freaking hold up. And at less than 1/3 of the price, I think it's a better deal. I like the coating, especially because it's just one of those kind of gloss finish ones that comes off, whereas the Becker one's sort of a grainy powder coat, which I like a whole lot less because it kind of grips what you're trying to move through, which I think kind of inhibits the function of the knife. This, I'm just waiting for it to just become bare metal, and if I had a Becker, I'd probably just strip it. I might strip this one, but overall, I really like it, and I think that you will too if you were to go check it out. And you can get them from like $19 to $25 depending on what your, you know, what deal you find on TEMU, because this is a TEMU clone. Pretty heavy duty. I'm gonna move over here to the little stump top and sit down and talk a little bit more about this. Overall, in my opinion, I think this is a great survival knife. It's gonna do all the heavy duty tasks that you would want it to do. As far as building shelters, processing wood, doing all the things that you would need to do to sustain life. I mean, you could clean animals with this. I don't think that that's too high a bar to set. I could totally clean a deer with that. That wouldn't bother me. I know there's a lot of people that want a fillet knife and all this crap. In terms of general survival purposes, what are you looking for in a blade? I don't want to be stuck out in the boog or some sort of SHTF situation with something that's possibly going to snap on me. This is not going to do it. This is the rugged and reliability that I personally look for in a survival blade. It might not do all of the fine stuff that you want to do as easy as you wish it would, but it's always going to be there. Unless you lose this thing, it's probably not ever going to break on you. I've had this thing in like the teens, low teens out here batoning it the last week. I've done all kinds of hard use stuff on this that wasn't even on camera for this review. And I'm confident that I could take this to pretty cold temps and not have it break. Whether it's the edge chipping out or the actual knife itself somehow having a catastrophic failure and busting off at the handle, I just don't think that it's going to happen. The scabbard snaps in very well. Granted, I'm doing this one-handed. I mean, you can hear that snap in, and it's not going anywhere. And then you got your little cheesy retainer strap, but you have to push that thing off of your knife. So it's good to go as far as the scabbard. The little mounted screws and stuff are really solid. That's some, hopefully you can see that. Yeah, I mean, that's some pretty good, thick, solid plastic. I think that this is going to hold up just like the real deal. I like the scabbard. If I ever did any kind of mod to this, I would probably change this out for veg tan leather of some sort. Sew in here, and then just do the button clasp like normal. Obviously, the scales are kind of slick, just like the real Beckers and stuff. But you can put regular Becker scales on these anyway. So like you could buy the micarta or some kind of like rosewood, or I think you can buy rosewood. You can get some wooden scales. You can get micarta scales. You could get whatever you want that's out there on the market, and it's gonna fit this blade. But as far as a Minuteman tool, that's what I think about with this blade. It's something I could dig with, something I could pry with and break into a place with if it was an abandoned structure. Something that you could actually do serious damage with in a, let's just say, a self-defense or combat encounter. This is not going to fail you in the moment, as long as you know, granted, combat's a luck of the draw, and if you're down to a knife, an angel's pissed in the flintlock of your musket to start with. But if there's a knife that's going to give you a chance and hold up, I don't think this is going to break off in a man's skull. Let's just say that. Not that you should ever be trying to do that. This is not an advocation of violence. This is just theoretical talking here. This thing is going to hold up for the long term. I'm going to buy a bunch more of these just to have them in caches and stuff. Probably the best $20 I've ever spent on a knife. Great blade. Highly recommend it. And you can have it for as much as $25. You should go check these out. I think you'll be glad that you did. And overall, you will have something that'll last you probably the rest of your life and probably your kid's life. You may need to replace the scabbard at some point because plastic degrades, but this blade, it's freaking tits money, dude. It's good to go. Highly recommend. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.